Welcome to Cash Talk, the podcast where we delve into the depths of finance, business, and life itself. I'm your host, John Cachia, a multi-award-winning wealth advisor with a passion for empowering ambitious Australians to confidently achieve financial freedom. Hey everyone, before we get started, this is a quick reminder that everything in this podcast is of a general nature and nothing has been tailored to your personal circumstances. So please seek personal financial advice before acting on this information. Hello and welcome back to Cash Talk, and today I'm joined by Mason. Mason, how are you, man?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Another year, it seems like it's come to an end. 2025, all wrapped up, looking towards 2026. It's always an interesting time of the year, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's that time of year where we look back, but also look forward. So what happened in 2025 and perhaps what's going to happen in 2026.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we start off with some of the more economic side of things, so around interest rates. So if you remember, John, in January, the cash rate was at 4.35%.
Yeah, and what are we now? 3.6?
3.6 now.
Yeah.
3.6.
And we've got to think about it like, you know, a lot's happened in 2025, like from an interest rate perspective as well. But there's also been a lot of talk as well. Like there's been like, you know, are interest rates going to go down lower? And then, you know, inflation's been a little bit more sticky. And, you know, there was also conjecture that, you know, the RBA should have been more aggressive. And then the year before that, kind of, this is a downward trend in regards to interest rates. But 3.6, Mason, as well, too, is kind of generally within that kind of 2 to 4% range.
Absolutely. It seems like this is around that long-term sort of average now. So historically speaking, they're still quite low. But if we compare to COVID times, they still seem quite high. So it's all about comparison. Where are we anchoring our initial thoughts? So I find that quite interesting.
Reading the book that we're reading at the moment, The Art of Spending Money by Morgan Housel, and guys, great book as well too. He's like, comparison's so interesting. And he's like, just think about it. Imagine Bill Gates waking up with Oprah Winfrey's bank account.
Yeah.
And I'm like, such a good point. And it validates a lot of the way you're thinking, but comparison I'm just talking about. You know, if you started your mortgage rate at, say, you know, 1.99% or a 2%, but now it's at 3 or if it's at 5 point something in regards to mortgage payments, it's like, oh, how much more has it been paying? But, you know, the person that was paying 8%, who's now paying 5.5%, yeah.
Well, exactly. And my parents are always talking about the 17% they paid and how easy we have it now. So comparison, as you say, is a very, very funny thing.
Oh, mate, I was having to drive in the car to the airport and my dad was giving me that one again. I'm like, Dad, you know.
Time moves on.
Oh, mate, time to move on. Time moves on.
Oh, dear. And speaking of interest rates, that often comes with inflation as well. And inflation pretty close to that target of 2 to 3%. So it seems like what the RBA has been doing is somewhat working. And inflation has dropped down, maybe not quite to where they want it to be, but we actually are seeing a tick up in the latest quarter. I think it went up about 1.3% in the September quarter alone. So maybe some good news there, maybe some not so good news. What are your thoughts on the inflation rate at the moment?
I think what we're seeing is that the economy is like a two-speed economy. You know, you've got this kind of the wealthy getting much wealthier, poor getting poorer. And as inflation does, it kind of separates the middle class. And so what we're experiencing at the moment is the wealthy getting wealthier and the poor getting poorer. What we're seeing, even both with inquiries and both from, you know, our clients as well, is inflation is still hurting. Yeah, it's still hurting. It's hurting the people who are struggling to elevate their income beyond those inflationary levels. It's hurting the people that don't have the systems in place to kind of control things. But from a wealth perspective, the people with the assets, we're seeing, let's call it the inflationary friendly assets, still the properties, the stocks, still kind of driving things up well. So if you were in a strong position pre this inflationary problem and you've been able to kind of maintain that momentum, you're doing very well. And for those who were ill-prepared or aren't willing to change, you know, there's a lot more people that are maybe inquiring that are on their knees. And speaking to a lot of advisors, even at the FAAA conference that we went to, this is not just us. You know, they're kind of seeing this both from their inquiries and also what their clients are experiencing as well.
Do you think that some of this pain, though, is psychological more than actually monetary? Like, and what I mean by that is we had this period where inflation did seem extremely high, around that 7, 8, 9%. And now there's a fear of, I might get back to that again. So we need to really bunker down. So now we're experiencing this delayed pain that actually might not actually be there anymore. Do you think there's some element of that?
Yeah, it's like a bit of like PTSD in regards to what they've gone through, especially like COVID and stuff like that. I was speaking to someone at the gym and I just like, I can't believe we went through that. And so when you go through like very stressful times, especially in high peak inflationary problems, or even if you're talking about like GFC scenarios, there's always going to be this kind of delayed trauma that kind of sits behind. There's two parts to that. One is around inflation expectation. So it's the person that's saying, hey, listen, inflation's expected to continue to be there and it might continue to go up and we're going to experience the pain that we did. But then there's also the realities of not adjusting. You know, if you haven't adjusted and just gone with the kind of pre-inflationary environment, which was deflationary and things are roses and things are going to be fine. I was speaking to someone on the weekend and she dropped like, we're poor and proud. That was someone who's just given up. You know, but this was the same person that I talked to a little bit ago about come see us, draw a line in the sand, push things forward. Nah, YOLO. You know, so that's what I'm saying. You've got a mindset psychological event, but you've got two different events happening. You've got one which is like, I'm giving up, I'm done. And then you got the other one which is like, no, I'm learning from that. I'm going hard. And that's what events do. Like if it be war, pandemics, economic conditions, you know, the resilient come out the other side,
Creates crossroads.
Yeah.
Which path you still decide to go down. I actually move on to the markets now and what's happening in 2025. And for me, it seems like 2025 will be the year of the tariffs or the year of the supposed tariffs.
Yeah. That was better worded.
And the impacts that the news of that and the fear of that had on market. It seems like the whole year was based around that, even though it was actually quite short-lived in hindsight now.
Yeah. I still remember, Mason, like early in the year, I would say it's about March, April, something like that. But all of this tariff stuff came out because I remember I was in Singapore and I never figured out that it happened that there was a sign behind me that said, chill. I took a photo. I'm like, this, just chill. You know, markets react to what they think is going to happen than sometimes what's going to happen. And I always learned this because, like, when you think about September 11 or you think about the Afghanistan wars and you think about the Iraq wars, the lead up to the war, even this happened in the Ukraine war and whatnot, on the lead up to war, there's this heightened tension. And that tension creates the volatility. And then the event happens. So tariffs, the lead up, and then the fallout. And so what we've found in the fallout, Donald Trump's negotiating tactics always go hard and then soften. Yeah, put the ceiling there, or put the floor there, and then you always work your way up from that position. So yeah, I agree with you. It's been the year of the tariffs, the year of volatility as well too, where markets went in March and April was correction territory in a lot of markets. We're also seeing, because of the delayed inflation as well too, on the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are remaining very volatile. There's a lot of kind of talk lately about where they're going. The longer inflation sticks around, the longer cost of living continues to happen. There's continues to be pressure on assets that don't derive an income, and it's not to say that, they're going to zero. There's some people that are like they're going to zero. There's other people that are like they're going to millions of dollars per coin. If we're talking about Bitcoin here, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about if you look at people putting money into an asset and getting nothing in return, and you've got inflationary pressures on this side, how long can you sustain that before you need to draw that down?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. And I think if we look in hindsight now at the data recording, where the US market's up nearly 15% over the year. So ignore the noise by the sounds of it. And that leads me on to the lessons from 2025. And that's very much one of the lessons is don't react to headlines, I think. I think when we do react to headlines, it rarely turns out well.
Yeah. And I think, Mason, it's around just removing emotion. Like if you're investing in the stock market, property market in a short-term time frame, don't look at it. Like, makes no difference. Like, yes, at the moment, I'm looking at prices of like me buying the house and selling the house and the prices da. But it's only because the buying of that property had the timing risk issue that I needed to address. Yeah. But the reality is that should I be looking at the house price that I bought for in every year, every week? Like, no, I'm not buying the house for a weekly trade. And so, funnily enough, on the stock market, we can do this much more actively, much more easily. And so, for us, when I look at it, like, do I really care where my portfolio was at in April? No, because my portfolio is going to be there when I need it in 10, 15, 20 years. And yes, I'll be looking at it a bit more intensively when I'm there, but I'll be looking at not really my stock exposure. When I'm looking at my portfolio, I'm probably looking at more like, do I have cash in the bank? And do I have the income every week going in or every month or whatever going into my bank account? Besides that, I still want my share exposure to be 10 plus year time frame. So yeah, I think too many people are looking at the magnifying glass, looking at the stock market, property market, crypto market. I'm going to include in this in a very short time frame. But if you're of the philosophies in those for long-term time frames, why are you looking at them short-term?
Yeah.
You know, do you look at your bank account every day hoping that it's going to grow from the interest? Like, perspective, guys.
Exactly right. I think that leads on to this next heading I had here: was short-term noise distracts from long-term plans, and that's so true. You mentioned your property thing there, like, yeah, that was a short-term thing, but it didn't distract from your long-term thinking. It's like, oh, I'm doing this project. I need to sell down my portfolio to make sure I've got the liquidity there to do this. That. No, you've planned this for a period of time. That's not going to distract you from your long-term plan, whatever that may be.
Correct.
Which I think is really important. But we talked about interest rates before and them coming down over the year. So lifestyle creep happens faster during rate cuts. So the cuts coming down, we're getting more cash flow, but rather than putting that money to better our financial situation, we use that to enhance our lifestyle. And we see this quite often. But we also see the opposite too. I know for many of my clients, I've been speaking to them, so, oh, we're going to keep our repayments the same. That's just going to be extra repayment. So that, and I was like, that is a great thing to do because you can maintain your life on that. So why reduce that just because the rates are coming down? So we see it both ways, but unfortunately, when you do enhance your lifestyle, if rates go back the other direction, that just means you have to reduce your lifestyle.
And the flip is probably worse. So when rates are going up, how quickly do you adjust your lifestyle? It's very hard to go from up to down. Yeah. So when things get easier, you got twofold. You got this guy that, oh, it's easier, we got to breathe. But usually you've come from that traumatic scenario. So you're a little bit, there's sometimes fear for that to happen. On the other end, it's like, oh, I've got to give up the car. I've got to give up the extracurricular. I've got to give up. I've got to give up. I've got to give up. And there's, at the moment, with some people, where that is true, we were going through such hard times. We've just now got a sign of relief. It's not a sense of like, okay, cool. Now we're going to double down and we're going to like. For the people that aren't with us, a lot of them are just like, it's relief. Yeah, we can just sail through now. Let's just kind of not sail through, but we're not in the heightened interest rates that were absolutely strangling us, and the banks on our door trying to get payments out of us. You know, so it's interesting. It's interesting because as rates go down, the concern always is, do they bounce back up? Like the worst thing you could have is this sudden rise in inflation. Yeah, so I think the messaging out of the RBA has been pretty good. We've talked about this many times. I don't think it can be perfect, but I think managing the psychology of people, they've been very stern in their don't expect, don't expect, don't expect, don't expect, because they'd rather have people with money in the war chest than people that are just going, woohoo. And we know that there's more people that will just go woohoo and blow the lot than people who are. But the people who are chipping away at it, these are what we're seeing is the ones that are growing really fast.
Absolutely. And I think that moves on. So let's say 2025 is in the books. We're heading to 2026. What are some tips to bring into 2026? So we also know there's New Year's resolutions, but we also know stats around New Year's resolutions where I think it's like 80% of New Year's resolutions are forgotten by the end of January. So while I think it's a good time to reset and think some things through, we've got to follow through on what we say. Because that's the most important part, I find.
Interesting came to my head. What was your last year's New Year resolution? Do you remember?
I wanted to complete the High Rock circuit.
Okay, how far did you get that through?
I didn't go to Perth.
The only one.
The only one I didn't go to.
That's pretty solid. How do you feel about that?
I'm annoyed I didn't get to Perth,
Okay.
but overall, pretty happy with how I went.
Why does it annoy you, Mason?
It annoys me because it's just, I don't like to do things by halves
Yeah.
or 3/4 in this case.
Yeah.
I'm very much, if you're going to do something, do it. Like, say what you mean and mean what you say.
And so what does that mean for you? Because you didn't do that, do you give yourself a consequence? Like what happens in your mind?
Well, for me, it's just doing it next year now.
Yeah.
It's just, you're doing it.
And I'm also doing, Mount Everest as well too. Like, or is it just that? Like, how does your brain work? And I'm going to speak to you about mine as well too.
No, so well, mine will now be okay. Not only are you doing the 4 and you're completing the circuit, but your time's got to get better too. It's got to improve, like because it's not a cheap exercise to go around the country doing these things. So it's no point doing it and not getting the result.
Do you think that a year's too? Like, this is the other thing I have about New Year's resolutions. Some people will think them as long, but also sometimes they're very short.
Yeah.
If you completed, I don't know, how many high rocks are there in Australia?
4.
4. Okay, so let's say over the next 3 years you completed 9. For most people, that would be like, mate, that's pretty good. Like, I think sometimes, like, you might have had a health issue, your mum might have been sick, like, and that's it. And some people, especially high achievers, will be like, and I can relate, and I'll get to mine in a moment, but it's like, okay, I didn't complete, so I'm not doing it again. Do you get me what I mean? Like, it's that. Yeah. So my one was to work on my health, and it ebbed and flowed. There was periods of time where it was not good, but I've started to kind of work out that I think I've swung too far the other way. So what I mean by that is, growing up, I was like military based. So it was train every day, eat every day, like it was every day. And it was too regimented. And so wife, children, business commitments, you got to be a bit more fluid. And so what I'm trying to get back is to become more regimented, but also in a way that I don't go from one extreme to the other. So, for example, John, you can train every day, but if it means that you need to have a normal meal at a normal restaurant because you're celebrating a birthday and you have a little bit of cake, that is okay. Where this relates in finances, a lot of people will set a goal. For example, I want $15,000 a year of passive income. They get halfway through the year, they realize that they're not on track. They've only got $4,000, for example. On track earnings going to be $8,000 by the end of the year. Stuff it, change the plan. Like, as in, we need to go ultra aggressive. I need to double down. Well, there's a few things. There's a problem there. Like, where did the 15 grand come from? It's like when John's talking about being healthy, cool, define it for me. What does that look like? Is it realistic? Yeah. Like, this is why it's important to create smart goals. Yeah. Not just to create anything that's on there, because that person can easily just go, nah, never going to make it. It's like having KPIs and they're unrealistic. It's like, what's the point? You're not going to keep people motivated if they're unrealistic. They need to be realistic. They need to be, yes, they need to be a stretch. Like, it's not like doing 4 high rocks is a stretch. Yeah. So you don't want to do it like maybe at your level, you don't want to do 1 high rocks, where for me it would be, do 1 high rock is amazing. So I think we need to be very mindful on what we're doing, because the psychological event that happens after that is, no, it's not going to happen. For example, smoking is a good one. A lot of people do that. New Year's resolution, I'm going to give up the ciggies. Cool. All right, cool. Let's break that down. You've been driving for 15 years to get rid of the ciggies, and every year on resolutions it doesn't happen. So let's be realistic and let's talk straight. What happens if at the end of the year you went from 15 ciggies a day to 5 ciggies a day? This is why I talk about like long time plans. Yeah, it's around like, okay, well, maybe by year 2, year 3, if we were talking and you went from say a pack a day to not smoking in the next 3 years, you speak to any doctor, they're going to say that's a good job.
Yeah.
So like, is it realistic? Is the time frame realistic? And then understand what that means to you. Yeah. And what I mean by that is around how do you behave? Are you the type of person that if you don't do it, you give up? Are you the type of person that doubles down on consequences? So you're in this constant battle of beating yourself up because you can never achieve that perfection? We just want to, I think, Warren Buffett was talking about the quote around, you never be perfect, but you can always be better. Like, I think for me, it's like you bring these agreements into your mind. I think that's a really good agreement I think one of his greatest quotes that he'll stamp in his final letter at Berkshire Hathaway is, you'll never be perfect, but you'll be better. And I think in 2026, when you're thinking about your New Year's resolutions, don't look for perfection. Look how you can be better in 2026.
I think it's a pretty good one. I think duration is such an important element when it comes to goals because, as you say, if it's too short a time frame, it becomes unrealistic. And I was actually listening to a podcast on the way here today, and it was talking about Kevin Hart's journey. And he's not alone when it comes up to stand-up comedy. You get up and you grind, you hear it all the time. And he said it took him 13 years. But he never lost hope. He always had the goal there. It's like, I'm going to become a stand-up comedian. And if he gave up after 6 years, he wouldn't have got there. It took him 13 years to get there. But he had that belief and he wanted it so much. And he may have never gotten there. But the fact he didn't put a restriction on himself, saying, after 1 year, if I'm not a big star, I'm going to give up, that's what saved him in the end. And that's what got him to the goal. That's not to say you shouldn't have any caps on your timeframes. If you don't have any caps, then you might not achieve anything. So I think there's a fine balance between the two. But I found that quite inspiring this morning. I was like, well, yeah, 13 years, that's a lot of grind. A lot of people would have given up.
Yeah, I agree, Mason. I was having a conversation at the gym this morning. And we were talking about, he goes, like a normal conversation, how's business? And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's really, really good. And he's about, I think he was maybe 4 years in business, in the finance game, but different to what we do. And I was just talking about some of our things, I'm looking to really make less decisions, but really deepful decisions, be more an advisory to advisors, work on really complex situations. And, but my day is not busy. Yeah. And it's weird for me because it's like I've always been the bang, 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 bang. But it's not. It's like, no, I got to get some I need to slow down, assess my environment and make really deep decisions. And I was just saying it is different for me. Now he's starting off in business and he's chaotic. He's wearing about 25 different hats and he's like, oh man, he's like, oh, you've really made it. He's like, you are where everyone aspires to be. And I'm like, well, first and foremost, let's put this into perspective. Yeah. I'm approaching 17 years worth of business. Also, my decisions, the impact of my decisions are very impactful. Like there's how many staff, how many contractors, how many clients, how many... So that decision, the ricochets of my decisions impact so many people. So I need to slow down because my mistakes. And so we were just talking about perspective, yeah, and around time frames. And it was I personally in my business have probably had longer time frames, Mason. I've probably, even with my finances, had longer time frames. I don't know where that comes from, probably from my humble beginnings. And I hopefully have a lot of humility. And if I don't, whack me across the head. But I've always kind of had, hey, I want to be here in 20 years. I want to be like this in 20 years. I want to have this by 20 years. And they've usually happened quicker. Yeah. So, it's interesting the conversations that we have. And I kind of just said to him, just make your time frames realistic where this needs to be. It's 17 years that it's taken me. Hopefully it takes him 10, 5. Yeah. But don't be disheartened, don't be disheartened. And that's in your finances. That's the same.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Maybe to close out, John, maybe share one of your financial goals, and maybe one of just a life goal, maybe just to inspire some people.
Yeah. I think for 2026 for me is actually around stability. We've had a lot going on. Sold a house, bought a house. We're moving houses into the house that will end up knocking down. Went away on an amazing trip, which is not but it's disruptive, to the environment. So I think 2026 for me, number one, is one, you can't be perfect, but be better. And how do you be better in all facets of your life? Yeah. In my family, my business, my spiritual aspect, everything be better. Can't be perfect. Second one, stability. It's okay to be stable. Yeah. It doesn't need to be a volatile personal life all the time. And continue to chip away at my health. Chip away at my health. I think if I can, Mason, be doing exercise for 1 hour a day, and it might sound like a little bit for everyone, but for me, at least exercise 1 hour a day, that would be a really good effort. Anything more than that would be amazing. Anything less than that, I don't think that would be a pass mark. That's for me. Financially speaking, business side of things, we've got some restructuring going on in regards to the new partners coming into the business. We've got a lot of growth ambitions as well too. So to see those come to fruition or be on the pathway to come to fruition would be really nice. And I think as well too, just continuing to have thriving wealth at the absolute elite of the financial advice profession, which, we don't want to get complacent. I know we're right at the pointy end, but how do we continue to create that impact, that transformative experience? And that's going to come from, like I said before, having the time to not be busy in the mind, be clear, work on my health. I think they're all kind of interlinked. What about yourself, Mason?
I agree. They're all interlinked, aren't they? Health means a lot. And health goals come easy to me. So I mentioned the hierarchy thing. So that's still a goal. I find that really fun. So it's quite easy for me to aspire to health things. Financially speaking, just continue to grow as an advisor, learning more and learning as the role develops, taking on more team members and new advisors coming to the business and passing on some of my knowledge and learning from them as well. So I think that just makes the finance comes after that, I think, once you sort of build up in your career. But probably a life goal for me, I was just thinking as we were chatting away, is probably just to learn a new skill. I've said for years and years, I just want to go do a barista course. I make coffees at home all the time. Why not?
Why not, Mason? I'd love for you to have a
barista. See, it'll be
do you reckon
for everyone.
You can do some Japanese fusion as well too?
Why not? You know, so I just think something fun like that and just something I could actually use every day, and I think it's a pretty nice skill to have.
It's actually a good point you make, Mason, and I think for everyone as well too, is that life can't be all about just better. Sometimes it just needs to be fun. Fun. And yesterday we just, I had a cancellation, and usually what I do, Mason, is I'd go and I'd put something in there because it's always a vacuum. Yeah. And I knew it was a nice day. I knew the kids were home, and I'm just like, let's go down the river and let's just get the bikes out, go for a walk. Just even me saying that to my wife, like seeing her smile was so powerful, but also just like the kids and seeing them with mum and dad and walking around there, having fun. Yeah, man, I think that, the barista course will be fun if it's doing something else that's fun, but it can also just be small moments. Yeah. Really? Moments of being happy, and that compounding effect is great for mind, body, and soul. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it. So, Mason, that's been really good. Looking back at all the things that happened in 2025, and it continues to happen, and I'm sure 2026 will be volatile in news and markets and economies and taxes and all of that stuff. And we'll be helping our clients kind of get through that. But I'll be eager to see your high rocks and your barista making. Or hopefully I get some love hearts when I get the coffee, and see how I can become better. Maybe we can time lapse it and see my body composition by the end of the year, Mason. We'll get some skin folds at the end. Yeah,
don't mind that.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And if you're loving these episodes as well too, make sure you like and subscribe on all major platforms as well too, and share them to your friends and family. Until next time, have a good one. See ya.